What's happening now has been unfolding for a long time. Replacement of human consciousness with a new consciousness throughout our entire species. This was the vision. It's not visionary anymore. It's here. Half of us are multisensory. Half of us know that we are more than bodies and minds, and the other half don't. Half of us are longing for harmony and cooperation and sharing and reverence for life, and the other half still feel strongly the need for more power, more ability to manipulate and control, more recognition, more admiration, more money, more sex. Our history as a species has been defined by this brutality, and now it's coming to an end. And where is it coming to an end? In you. Because you are now multisensory. And where does all this bring us? It brings us right here, to now, today. It's good to be with you again. I've been recording a series of podcasts within the podcast. And in my heart, I've been thinking of this series of podcasts as together. That means you and I and all of us. All of us who are listening to this podcast and all of us who are not. All of us who are resonant with what we talk about here and all of us who are not. All of us who have the new consciousness and feel it emerging in us. The not knowledge, but the experience of being more than merely a body and a mind. That's multisensory. That's included in together. And everyone who's not, everyone who's still experiencing within the confines of the old consciousness, which means within the limitations of the five senses and what they can perceive. All of that is we. All of that is together in my heart, because there's no separation one from the other. The first of this special series was simply, we're all in it together. And we are. But it's even bigger than that. The second series in this mini-series is the death of external power, manipulation and control, and striving for it. That's external power. That's the only way that individuals with the old consciousness can experience power. It's obvious to them there is no other power. They strive for it, they battle for it, they compete for it, they kill for it. And those who have more of it are considered the winners, and those who have less are the losers. All of that has no future. All of that is embedded in and irrevocably part of the old consciousness, and the old consciousness is carrying forward through momentum and inertia only. It has no life. It has no vitality. It is anchored in fear. Fear that used to be our good medicine when we were evolving by surviving and surviving by pursuing external power. But now we are evolving by growing spiritually. We know more. We see more. We experience more than those who are limited to the five senses, to those with the old consciousness. We still see those with the old consciousness. We don't judge them. We're not superior to them, and they're not superior or inferior to us. That's just a temporary ebb and flow of evolution. In another generation and a half, all of us will be multisensory. We will all experience ourselves clearly and unmistakably as more than bodies and minds. But we will not necessarily be authentically powerful in a generation and a half, because authentic power needs to be created consciously with certain tools that we've explored here on this podcast. Emotional awareness, using your body as a way to show you when fear is present in you and when love is present in you, which means when parts of your personality that originate in fear are present and when parts of your personality that originate in love, such as gratitude or appreciation or caring or contentment, or patience, or awe of the universe. And that's in contrast to the experiences of fear, such as anger, jealousy, resentment, competitiveness, entitlement, needing to please, compulsions, obsessions, addictions. All of those are experiences of frightened parts of our personality. Our personality is not one thing that sometimes feels this and other times feels that. It is comprised of many parts. And now that we are multisensory, we can see that. Literally see it, not with our physical eyes, but with emotional awareness. We see that the frightened parts hurt when they're experienced consciously. And when we act on them, they create painful consequences for ourselves. We can experience that the loving parts feel good. How good does it feel when you're grateful, when you're appreciative, when you're content, when you're patient, when you're in awe of the universe? It feels good. That's pure wonder, made experiential. So we can see all these things. So our second series in this mini-series, our second little recording, was the death of external power, which means the death of the old consciousness. And that's what's happening now. It's dead, and it's being replaced, and all of its constructions are becoming dysfunctional. But we'll get into that. The third little episode was, and actually it was a long episode, but it's the third one in this series within a series, in the Together series, the birth of authentic power. That's the way individuals with the new consciousness see power, and that is the ability to align yourself, your personality with your soul. And the intentions of your soul are harmony, cooperation, sharing, and reverence for life. Oh, can you see the difference? How can you not see the difference between power as the old consciousness sees it, as the ability to manipulate and control the world and everything in it, including other people, and the new understanding of power, the alignment of harmony, cooperation, sharing, and reverence for life? The next episode in this mini-series, the Together series, I called The Beauty of the Contrast. That's the contrast I've just shown you. The contrast between the old consciousness and the new. Between the old experience of power and the new understanding of power. Between the inability to distinguish between the experiences of a frightened part of your personality or a loving. That is characteristic of the old consciousness. That means when someone with the old consciousness feels angry, they don't see that it's a part of their personality that's angry. They feel they are angry. When they feel righteous, they feel righteous. They don't see that as a frightened part of their personality that creates destructively and painfully. They simply see it as being righteous, and they are. Every frightened part of every personality is right and righteous. It cannot be argued with, it cannot be convinced, because nothing is real for it except what the five senses can reveal. The five senses alone are the determiner of reality for individuals with the old consciousness. And so within that limited arena, they strive for external power over one another. And it now produces only violence and destruction. This contrast is sharp and real. So what this contrast brought into focus is the journey inside leads to two different places. The inner journey that leads to fear. That means it leads to the intimate experience of parts of your personality that originate in fear, parts of your personality that cannot love. They can need and mistake that for love. They can be affectionate. They can be responsible as parents are for their children, and the bond is deep and real. But the world in which all of this happens is a world of the pursuit of external power, a world defined by the limitations of what the five senses can detect. A world that originates in fear, unknown to those who are experiencing it because they have nothing to contrast it with. This is their life in the Earth School. This is their lives. And five-sensory individuals have that in common, just as multisensory individuals have in common, that we are souls, and we have new destinations to new places, new ways of getting there, new values, new goals, and they're drawn to them. That's the other inner journey. It leads to love. The inner journey to fear and the inner journey that leads to love, that leads to fulfillment, satisfaction, creativity, vitality, engagement, care for other people, interest in other people. Not just in other people as personalities, but in other people as souls who are wearing, you might say, a costume for their journey through the Earth School. Five-sensory humans say there's no journey, there's no Earth School, there's reality. Look at it, boy, it's all around you. It's dog eat dog, and you're one of the dogs, and you're either going to eat or be eaten, and you'll learn that soon enough. That's the five-sensory experience of reality underneath all. And a world of beauty, of love, of connection, more than connection, is the shared experience of multisensory perception. So that has been our experiment, my recordings of these 6 together mini episodes. And where does all this bring us? It brings us right here to now, today. You don't have to check your calendar. It's not limited to a specific day when I say today. What's happening now has been unfolding for a long time. And the human experience of it has been unfolding for about a generation and a half. The replacement of human consciousness with a new consciousness throughout our entire species. That's what's happening today. Well, that's what was happening in the late 80s. That's what was happening when you might have read The Seat of the Soul. It described that process. It described this emergence of the new consciousness. This was the grand story. This was the headliner. This was the big news. This was the vision. It's not visionary anymore. It's here. Half of us are multisensory. Half of us know that we are more than bodies and minds, and the other half don't. Half of us are longing for harmony and cooperation and sharing and reverence for life, and the other half still feel strongly, as do we, but they don't know they can do anything about it. They are still feeling strongly the need, the insatiable, bottomless, endless pit of need for more power, more ability to manipulate and control, more recognition, more admiration, more money, more sex, bigger house, bigger everything. These desires come from fear. They come from the pain of powerlessness, which all of us have, five-sensory and multisensory humans. It's the pain of not belonging. It's the pain of not being enough. It's the pain of wanting to love and knowing that you can't. You're not able. It's the pain of needing to love, wanting to be loved, and knowing that you're unlovable. It's not wanting anyone else to see inside of you the way you see inside of you because they wouldn't want anything to do with you if they could see you the way you really are. It's the pain of being inherently defective, intrinsically flawed. When we were five-sensory and we felt the pain of powerlessness, we reached out to change the world because we assumed that the world was responsible for our emotional pain, and to relieve ourselves of that pain, we need to change the world. That's the pursuit of external power. That produces now only violence and destruction. It can produce nothing else. It is obsolete in terms of our evolution, but more than simply obsolete, like candles are obsolete now when electricity was developed. It is destructive. It is violent, and it produces only violence and destruction. Candles don't do that. But the pursuit of external power does. And those who are confined within the old consciousness are pursuing it righteously and from their perspective, rightly and vigorously and brutally and ruthlessly. Who are the heroes of that story? Adolf Hitler, Stalin, Joseph Stalin, Mao Zedong. Brutal, savage killers. Not one-on-one, savage with a knife. One on millions. Millions died in China in the Cultural Revolution. 80 million people died in World War II, launched by fear. And emblematic of that was one man in Germany, Hitler. But he was not the first. He was the most recent and the most memorable, you might say. Behind him was every warlord, every prince, every monarch. Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar. All of this. These are all signposts. People that we remember for their unrelenting pursuit of external power and their success in attaining it and using it against others. Our history as a species has been defined by this brutality, this disconnection from life, this savagery. And now it's coming to an end. And where is it coming to an end? In you. Because you are now multisensory. This is an unprecedented transformation in human consciousness that we are experiencing, and no humans have experienced it before. We stand with one foot in the old consciousness and one foot in the new. And the divide between them is bigger than any divide you can imagine, bigger than the Grand Canyon, bigger than the Yangtze River, bigger than anything. It's the divide between love and fear. The old consciousness was built on fear, expressed fear. That means it was built on, with, by, and for external power. The new consciousness is being built by, with, and for authentic power, the evolution of the soul, the alignment of the personality with the soul. That's where this history, that's where these movements, that's where these little encapsulated mini micro-histories that I've recorded have brought us. And I'm not laughing at myself. I was, actually. Because there is no such thing as mini or micro in the sense of insignificant and not worthy of attention and love. There is nothing that is unworthy of our attention and our love. The world, you might say, is the macro, and we are the micro. But the macro cannot exist apart from the micro, and the micro is part of the macro. So here we are. This is what I'm going to discuss with you now. The Great Divide. And it's in exploring the Great Divide that we come to the biggest of all surprises yet. And we'll talk about that on our next podcast together. If you're enjoying anything you're hearing on this podcast, Subscribe to it. Now, what do I mean by enjoy? Do I mean, is it entertaining for you? Does it make you laugh? Does it make you forget your worries? That's not what I mean. I mean, do you resonate with anything that I say as relevant, profound, and pertinent for you, not for the world, for you? Something that you can use, something that you can experiment with in your life. If you do, if you resonate, then subscribe, because there's more where this comes from. It comes from the universe, as do you. Here's a soul step for you. Take out your soul notebook and your little soul fountain pen that you use to write in the notebook, and write down anything that you can remember, that you do remember, that I have said in this podcast that you resonate with. That's something. By resonate, here's what I mean. I used to love playing the guitar a long time ago. It's only got 6 strings. It's a simple instrument. And it's fretted. That means, it's got little, wherever you put your finger down on one of the strings, it'll play a note for you if you pluck it. Well, if you don't put your finger down on any of them, and you pluck one of the strings, and you listen carefully, you put the guitar up to your ear, you'll hear all of the strings vibrating and giving off their sound. That's resonance. It only took one of the strings, not even one of the notes of one of the strings, just plucking one of the strings, to cause the others to begin to vibrate in sympathy, in resonance. What is vibrating in sympathy and resonance? Sympathy doesn't mean being sorry for. It means, yes, I know that. I know that. What is vibrating in you based on what you have heard in this podcast? Write that down. Not your thoughts about it, or if any come, write those if you choose, but write what you resonated with so that you will not forget it and will return to it, because returning to that will also take you to the biggest of all surprises. I'm looking forward to being with you again soon. I'm Gary Zukav.